Welcome back to FightFest, where in this episode we finish up the Hobbyweight Championship and find the first 5.4kg UK champion. Only 4 robots remain after our opening round. We see Semtex, Revolt, Onikuma, and joining them lastly out of the losers melee we have Blue Python. These robots will go head to head in our semi-finals until we narrow it down to 2 and crown a worthy winner. So let's get started. So our first semi-final is Revolt against Semtex. The wizardous drum spinner of Semtex has already claimed its first victim, but now it's against the most defensive robot in the competition. We'll have to see how the drum holds up against the brick wall that is Revolt. No active weapon on there, it just wants to be quick and take as many punches to the face as it can. How many punches will it take? We'll head over to the arena and see who's going to win.
So this is the first of 2 semi-finals for the Hobbyweight Championships. We have Semtex versus Revolt. We are just about ready to go. Give us a thumbs up, judges. Judges. Yes, they're ready. Okay, so, well, let's fight in 3, 2, 1, fight!
Semtex getting up to speed, but Revolt is right in there and they flip Semtex over with the very first clash. They've got a new setup on for this fight. They've got 2 interspersed wedges at the front with forks on either side to try and tackle drum spinners and leave an empty space in the middle. Currently it is working out. Every head-to-head clash has favoured the bricky wedge machine, and Semtex is just failing to get a good bite, with Revolt controlling the pace of this one. The size difference even at the Hobbyweight scale is really apparent, and Revolt is doing a great job of backing Semtex into a corner, but now they've taken a hit on the side. They don't seem too impacted. Semtex, it can be hard to tell sometimes whether it's the right way up or not, but a drive belt is gone. Which machine will that actually be from? Is it a weapon belt, perhaps? We'll have to find out as the match goes on. For now, Semtex looks to be moving across the arena okay, and definitely spinning at full speed. Revolt, meanwhile, is just spinning around it, trying to stay full frontal and keep on the offense. Now getting Semtex up onto its side. It is hard to truly say who's on top in this one right now. Revolt definitely controlling the match, but Semtex the only real robot capable of doing damage here. But if they can't get down off their side, they're not going to do much at all. Semtex is going to need to spin down if they want to get any stability, but Andy Russell just not willing to sacrifice his top speed on his weapon and will wait until he's back on his wheels no matter how long it takes. Well, this is all Revolt right now. Finally, after a slam into the wall, Semtex is back on its wheels, but upset once again, and back onto your side you go. Okay, Revolt doing a fantastic job, but now looks to be feeling the effects of running into those spinner hits all the time. They all of a sudden can't go in a straight line. We saw a drive belt slip earlier on. Revolt didn't seem too affected at that point, but now we're definitely seeing mobility issues as we go into the final minute of the fight. This would be such a shame for Gareth Anstey because he was quite handily on top as this battle came along, but now Semtex is charging in and taking advantage of the fact Revolt cannot move in a straight line. Their top speed is lowered, the wedges are easier to hit from the side, and that's the only way you're ever going to take them off. Oh, there we go. That might be the biggest hit of the match so far. All Revolt can really do now is defensively position themselves in front of Semtex, try and make it ramp off it and flip back over again, and just fight for survival. Well, that was a fantastic little swing from Revolt, turning right into the spinner to rocket Semtex into the end, but that goes even higher, and 2 huge shots from Semtex in the final 10 seconds. It looks like it's going to go to the judges, but after such a strong effort from Revolt, are those big hits going to swing it? The judges will have to decide, but that was a brilliant encounter between our Hobbyweights.
The judges would like to see the robots when they come out of the arena. Check for damage.
Having an investigation of Revolt, we obviously know that drive was impacted and the forks have been nibbled. We don't know if there's any extra damage.
Results from the judges are in. The winner by unanimous judges' decision is Semtex.
Well, that was a close one. Semtex narrowly pulling ahead on a unanimous decision. The damage swung it in the end. You've got to have a working robot at the end of the fight. Let's see how Gareth is feeling after that dicey match.
Okay, so we're here with Gareth and his machine. How is it going, Gareth?
It seems to be working quite well. The last fight at semi-finals was pretty tough, but hopefully that robot wins the competition. So it's working. There's definitely some damage, you know, just make it a bit better for next time. But it's the first competition for the robot, first competition for all the robots here, really. So it's definitely going to improve as we go along throughout the years, and maybe even take it to other countries.
There you go, guys. That's the true sign of a roboteer. Always thinking about how he can revise for next time, improve his machine.
But as we know, the Hobbyweight class is brand new to the United Kingdom, and these 5.4 kilogram machines only have more room to grow. You want to get involved with the world of Hobbyweight fighting? Maybe take a look at our magnificent sponsors. Wranglebox provide top quality robotics parts and have even offered prizes to the top 3 finishers of each competition. Everyone on the podium has earned some vouchers that they can use on wranglebox.com, and you too can head over there and get the ideal parts to go inside your fighting robot. Team Immersion have also led the organisation of this event and even designed the arena that we're fighting in today. If you need design work done for a combat robot, a non-combat robot, an arena, just about anything you can think of, make use of their mechanical engineering services and their CAD skills. That's Team Immersion Engineering on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks again to both for sponsoring. Our second semi-final, we have Onikuma against Blue Python. In theory, Onikuma could be the most dangerous weapon in the competition, but we've yet to see it at this stage. More down to its opponents than itself, but now Blue Python, having won a fight in the Losers Melee, should prove a real test for it. Meanwhile, Blue Python itself is the most battle-hardened robot both in this competition and outside of it. This is perhaps the biggest challenge they've had to date. Can they overcome the new spinning force? Or will this bring a surprise?
Blue Python and Japanese Demon Bear. Are the drivers ready? Chris versus Chris. Begin the final fight of the evening in 3, 2, 1, fight!
Blue Python, the only robot here with a loss on their record, but Onikuma hasn't exactly had much of a win either. They didn't really have to do a lot. This will be their first test, and it's a mission accomplished, I would say! That's a huge hit! And there's bits of Blue Python all over the arena in just 2 hits. Remarkably, it's still working, but they're just going back for more punishment. The lifter needs to be lower than the wedge of Onikuma if they want to bring that lifting mechanism into play. Doesn't appear to be the case though, so Onikuma holding all the cards. This is the first time that Chris Lobley's ever driven a spinner, so it takes a lot of learning when you've got the gyroscopic forces to deal with. But right now, Onikuma just staying planted to the ground. Blue Python perhaps even more so, because they do look to have lost the use of one of those wheels. So now they've just got to pivot in place and try to feed themselves into that disc and bring it to a stop. But Onikuma is having a bit of a field day right now. Flipping over again at the wall. We know that that weapon from Blue Python is going to keep working for as long as it takes, but now they're getting near the pit. They can self-right, but can they do anything else? Getting ground at the underside there, and the robot is so visibly bent. One of those wheels isn't even close to being on the ground. Oh, the sounds of carnage as well. They're in such grave danger. Onikuma isn't leaving them alone, so Blue Python is going to remain within this fight, and they keep on self-righting to put themselves back into the battle of danger. What more can Chris Sowry do to pull ahead in this one? There is not a single part of this robot, I think, that hasn't been contacted by the spinner at some point. Maybe those slightly bent-looking grabbers at the back. Now we're near the arena wall. I think Onikuma is going to try and get them over that wall. Nearly managing to do so. Oh no! And the whole robot has come apart. The base plate is gone. Blue Python hangs limply on the wall. Is there anything left of this machine after such a rushed rebuild?
Big hit there to end the fight. So the winner of that fight, in case you couldn't tell, was Onikura.
Well, we know Onikuma works, but no way.
Blue Python. So, we know it still works. Full congratulations to my opponent. Fully deserved. I might be able to fix it, I don't know, but it's a risk every time we put our robots into the arena. It is a risk that they come out like this, and I just love it. It's brilliant.
I haven't done that before.
Do you think your robot works yet?
Maybe. Might need another fight to test it out, I don't know.
Do you think you can win the championship?
Maybe.
Well, never any confidence from Chris Lobley, but Onikuma is in prime working form. That is a scary machine that we'll be seeing in the final against Semtex. Two deadliest spinners collide.
Okay, we're here with Chris and his fearsome Japanese warrior, the demon bear, Onikuma. You're in the final, Chris. Yep. How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous. Andy's a really good driver. He's really experienced with spinner robots. This is my first one, obviously, so I'm probably not as skilled in regards to that particular type of robot.
It's definitely safe to say that both yourself and Andy's machine, Semtex, have been the most destructive machines so far. I'd venture to say the most impressive of all the machines, so I think we've got a really fantastic final here. Do you think it's really going to come down to a little bit of luck, or are there some tactics maybe you can employ to take Andy out?
I suppose it comes down to driver skill, really. I mean, Andy is a really good driver. He's generally reached the finals of tournaments that he's entered, so it'll be a tough battle, but I'm hoping to win. But as I said, you never know. But overall, I just hope it's a good fight.
Sounds like you definitely respect your opponent's driving skill. I think you mustn't count yourself out, though. You've got a fearsome machine here, and I think it really could go either way. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
I hope you can agree from the fights that we've seen today that the Hobbyweights are a great new way to get into robot combat. They may be smaller than the Featherweights, but they're very, very dangerous in the arena, and not even that expensive to put together. Let's hear from some of our teams on how they got into Hobbyweights and how you might be able to do the same.
Hobbyweights have been around for a long time. In the UK, they are still fairly new.
So one thing I loved about this event was the fact there was a Hobbyweight competition.
The first official competition for that particular weight class.
And I found building a Hobbyweight just really fun overall.
There are lots of weight classes, but from my personal experience, why did I build a Hobbyweight? I had the parts.
Explore a new weight class where there's less kind of a meta and standard of parts and things, which makes it a lot more interesting to design and build.
Debate over Hobbyweights is still ongoing. A few people say, well, you've already got the Beetles and the Feathers, why do you need the added hobbies?
The weight of them make them really practical and fun to use without the cost that comes with the Featherweight class, but with just as much excitement.
Should you build a Hobbyweight? Yes. It's robot combat. Why I do this?
Well, you heard them. What more could you want? But for now, we better head back to the Hobbyweight Championship because there's a victor to declare.
Okay, so we're here with Chris, who's working furiously to get his machine repaired. He went up against actually two really aggressive spinners and took a lot of really nasty hits. He held up amazingly well, but he did come out of the arena with quite a lot of damage. You've got the third place fight now. Are you going to be ready?
Most of the damage is now fixed. All the innards are now back inside. Chris Slobey, who I faced, he's offered me his forks so I can at least lift things again. But that is the great thing with using this HDPE plastic. It looked worse than what it was. I was able to just screw everything back together.
And that's why you use this material, isn't it? It's just so durable.
Use it with your everyday tools.
So would you say it's perhaps an excellent material for a chassis for a beginner, maybe someone who doesn't have access to lots of fancy tools?
That is exactly how I got involved. I am a dad of three with a boring dead-end job with a bit of spare time. I used what tools I had, use the materials you have, and you can build these awesome, very stupid machines. And it's great fun.
Brilliant, you fought really well, Chris. I'm sure you're going to have another fantastic fight. Thank you.
Into the third place playoff then. Blue Python's actually borrowed a few forks from Onikuma to make sure that it can actually get under its very wedgy foe. Revolt, of course, using its forks to try and be as low to the ground as possible. Blue Python, for once, gets to claim it has the weaponry advantage. Revolt is going to be its first opponent without the immediate threat of a spinner tearing its face off. We know this is a good machine, and getting third place on the podium would really prove something for Blue Python. But Revolt, it just seems to get faster every time. They came so close to defeating Semtex, it was an incredibly close judge's decision, and getting on the podium would in turn prove what they were fighting for. So, Blue Python, Revolt, let's get started.
3, 2, 1. Fight!
Well, it's a credit to Chris Sowery for getting Blue Python back into the arena after his robot was blown to bits. Revolt, perhaps a simpler repair job. They're running the forks in this one, but Blue Python able to find its way underneath them, getting a lift started. They couldn't get it all the way over though, and Revolt has returned to an advantageous position. There's a side-on attack from Blue Python, moving very, very quickly across the arena, both of them, but there's a slam into the wall, rippling the entire FightFest arena. Now, Blue Python once again, they're able to slot the lifter in between the forks of Revolt, but they just can't get under the actual main body of the robot enough to get a full lift and flip them over. But Revolt can certainly take Blue Python for a ride across the arena. That could have been a full-on slam into the wall if our floor didn't get into the way there. But there's a proper slam into the wall to make up for it. Revolt is keeping this at a mile a minute! All the way from one corner to another. Blue Python nearly getting flipped over by that one. Now though, the lifter actually getting its best purchase yet. Revolt came all the way off the ground, just slipped off before they could be suplexed. Revolt is not about to let that happen again, and they are just going for a pin on Blue Python here in the corner, finding their way underneath those forks. They can't do too much damage with a ramp when there's no run-up, but now running right up onto the lifter of Blue Python again. We're getting closer and closer to a full flip every time they end up on that lifter. This is the first time we've properly seen Blue Python be able to get under its opponent, and it's fighting perhaps the wedgiest robot in the competition. It does feel like Revolt is on top though. They're slamming so hard into the wall they've taken the lid off the bin outside the arena. That is the power of these 5.4 kilogram warriors. We have another lift from Blue Python. At this point I'm starting to wonder maybe if the torque of the lifter just isn't strong enough to get Revolt over. They definitely looked like they had good purchase there. Well, they were about to find good purchase on the side of the pit with a dastardly escape. Now just moving a little bit slower, making sure they don't make any big mistakes. Revolt in turn, it's so fast they could very easily pit themselves, so Gareth Anstey not wanting to make any mistakes. At this point it seems fairly clear that if it goes to a judge's decision he should be able to pull this one off with Revolt, so not taking any unnecessary risks as we go into the final 30 seconds of the fight. We haven't had a big slam in a while, but Revolt isn't slowing down at all. Just as I say it, there's another bash into the corner, maybe another bin lid's fallen off in the background. The speed of these things cannot be comprehended. Revolt no way to get Blue Python over the wall, but they're just going to control the pace here in the final 5 seconds. One last catch on the arena floor, but credit to Blue Python for going all the way after such an extensive repair job. It will go to the judges. I think it can only go one way. But here we are at Labman headquarters, the heart of robotics in Northern England. Labman employees and experienced roboteers joined forces to make this spectacular event possible. A huge thank you to them for making it happen. If you'd like to compete or volunteer with FightFest, or even apply at Labman Automation for an internship, head over to their Facebook and Instagram and like their pages to keep up with what's going on. And there we have it, 3rd place for the brand new Revolt. Well done to Gareth Anstey on 3rd place. Now we must head to the final.
Okay, so we're here with Andy. Yeah, you're in the final of the Hobbyweight. You've done really well this weekend. Both machines have performed really good. The final of the Hobbyweight against Onikuma. What do you think of that fight? Any predictions?
I think it'll be a close one because his is very nasty. Mine's been pretty nasty so far. I've got a few different kind of choices to make. So I've got this longer fork that I'm probably going to put on to kind of outreach his forks. And I have to spin at high RPM to kind of match the mile per hour tip speed of his weapon because it's a bigger blade. But yeah, so it should be fun either way.
Whatever happens, it's going to be explosive, so don't blink.
And so we've made it to the final. The drum spinner of Semtex, the vertical disc spinner of Onikuma, both incredibly powerful. We've seen the damage that they can cause. The only question to solve now is which is better. We'll put them face to face and see what happens. First of all, let's see how they got here. Semtex was the first of many to take on Blue Python, the most experienced Hobbyweight in the competition, but Semtex got that drum up to speed, showed exactly what they were made of and made a very impressive debut. Andy Russell confidently moving on to the second round. There he would meet Revolt, the most defensively resilient robot in the competition, to really test the durability of Semtex's drum spinner. It didn't start brilliant for Andy's machine, getting pushed around the arena in many different slams from Revolt, but in the end, after Semtex was able to take out half of Revolt's drive, it got some crippling blows towards the end and left a good impression with the judges to move on to the final. Onikuma, meanwhile, a more traditional vertical spinner, had a quiet opening against Arcanum. It didn't really have to get out of first gear, but the sheer appearance of this nightmare machine was enough to leave an impression. Onikuma got its first proper run out against Blue Python, a robot that finished in 4th and is very respectable in its own right, but Onikuma, with devilish hits, completely split its opponent apart. The most destruction we've seen in the Hobbyweight Championship so far. Onikuma has momentum on its side and it could be a serious threat in the final. But Semtex is a good all-rounded and dangerous machine. I can't tell who's going to win this one. We're simply going to have to head to the arena and find out.
Being loaded into the arena now, we have the Hobbyweight final. This is Onikuma versus Semtex. So this is the first ever Hobbyweight Championship final.
Both finalists getting in their positions. Fasten your seatbelts. This is going to be a good one.
Start the fight in 3, 2, 1. Fight!
What will happen when these spinners collide? We're about to find out. Oh, they won't! Semtex is going to hit Onikuma right on the side and launch it at the wall. And another head-on collision means that Semtex is able to knock Onikuma straight onto its back. And there's a third hit. This is all Semtex right now. Onikuma is working in full form. The spinner's up to speed. But every collision between these machines so far has favoured Semtex, even managing to push it back on that singular foot, throwing it towards the pit. Onikuma bounces away! That is an unbelievable recovery, but what was it for? Straight into another spinner blow!
Stop the fight! Cease!
Onikuma no longer working, that front wedge
out?
is missing! It appears that Chris Lobley has tapped out.
Cease! Semtex is the winner!
With that wedge missing, the structure of the whole robot could be compromised with another full-on hit, so Chris Lobley says it isn't worth it, let's take second place. Amazing job from Semtex. They were thoroughly dominant in this one against one of the scariest opponents it may ever come up against. A huge congratulations to Chris Lobley and Onikuma. First time ever out there with a spinner and goes straight to second place with absolutely fascinating performances out there. A real contender in the future. But first place is going to go to Semtex, the first title for Team ARD, one of the most experienced teams in the competition, and thoroughly deserved. Semtex is a beast. Well done. Next time, it's the final episode of FightFest Winter Challenge. We've got the team battle competition, the multi-weight class rumble, the gladiator, and even a house robot rebellion, featuring a special guest. Don't miss it. We'll be back next week.